All right, so let's fill this out. Oop, hey, didn't do that. Okay. All right, so let's compare and contrast. So the sympathetic versus parasympathetic nervous system. When is sympathetic nervous system active? When did we say?
During fight or flight.
Yep. Fight or flight. And what about parasympathetic?
Rest and digest.
Rest and digest. Okay? All right. So for sympathetic pathways, what did we say about the length of the preganglionic neuron? Is it relatively shorter or longer?
Shorter.
Shorter. Okay, which means parasympathetic preganglionic neuron length is
Longer.
longer. Yep. Okay. So then what about the length of the postganglionic nerve for a sympathetic fiber?
Longer.
Relatively longer, and then for parasympathetic, relatively
Shorter.
shorter. There you go. Okay. So, sympathetic pathways, location of cell bodies of the preganglionic nerve. Where can we find that?
Lateral horn.
Lateral horn of spinal levels,
T1 to L2.
T1 to L2. Yep. We're talking lateral horn of the spinal cord. Okay. So what about parasympathetic pathways? So that's craniosacral. So let's talk about the sacral portion first. Where do we find those preganglionic nerve cell bodies in the sacral portion?
S2 to S4.
Okay, what specifically at S2 to S4? Where? Lateral horn of the spinal cord for S2 to S4. Okay, and then what about in the cranial region? We said that they could be found in clusters of gray matter in the CNS, which are
Basal nuclei.
basal nuclei, but we're calling them cranial nerve nuclei, because we're only talking about cranial nerves here. Cranial nerve nuclei for 3, 7, 9, and 10. Mhm. Good. Okay. So, location of cell bodies of the postganglionic nerve. So in a sympathetic pathway, we have two options. What's the one that we identified in lab?
Sympathetic trunk ganglia.
Sympathetic trunk ganglion. Okay. Or, what was the other option?
Collateral ganglia.
Collateral ganglion. Yep. Okay, good. All right, so for parasympathetic pathways, let's talk about the cranial nerves first. Where do we find the cell bodies of the postganglionic nerve in those pathways? Chris, what are collections of cell bodies? Ganglia. Cranial nerve ganglia. Or for the sacral division, for the sacral portion, you can find them in either, well, we call them terminal ganglia. Because they're at or on or close to the effector. Okay. The neurotransmitter released from the preganglionic nerve in a sympathetic pathway is
Acetylcholine.
acetylcholine. In parasympathetic,
Acetylcholine.
acetylcholine. Okay. Neurotransmitter released from the postganglionic nerve in a sympathetic pathway,
Norepinephrine.
norepinephrine. Or epinephrine is either or. Okay. And in a parasympathetic pathway,
Acetylcholine.